High speed. What does it mean? Well, I don't know, but I think it has something to do with the fast pace of the match. The high-speed championship matches were some of the first matches I watched of Stardom, and is one of the main reasons I got into Stardom in the first place. When I started watching, Hazuki was champion at the time. She ran through every challenger like they were children, mostly because they were. But through her championship reign, I'd be introduced to people like Starlight Kid and the topic of our video, Azumi. Azumi was born on October 1st, 2002 in Tokyo, Japan. After that, not much is known, but it was probably the same shit every 4-year-old does, like screaming and pissing themselves or drawing on everything in sight. She would eventually make her wrestling debut on October 6, 2013, at 11 years old. Jesus Christ, that's young. I mean, what was I doing at 11? Probably shoving fingers up my ass and watching Dragon Ball GT and jerking off to hentai. One of those is a lie, and I'll let you decide which one is the lie. I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact that this is the same Azumi wrestling today. She looks like a baby. This is a 2-year-old in a wrestling ring. You cannot convince me otherwise. And the match would end in a time limit draw, making this the second time a person I made a video on had a time limit draw in their debut match. I think this match is surprisingly good, despite it having what looks like the little girls that hang outside the grocery store trying to peddle me cookies. Boom! And that's what I call a callback, baby! At some point, Azumi would make her own stable called AZUMI'S Army. On March 21st, 2016, Azumi would tag with Azumi Army members Amy Nishina and Kaori Yoneyama against Hiromi Mimura, Natsumi Maki, she seems familiar, and Starlight Kid. In this match, Azumi would open the match, challenging Starlight Kid directly. They would start the match off hot, just giving us a glimpse of what we would come to expect from these two. And here we have the start of one of the biggest rivalries in all of Stardom. But we have a long way to go before we reach the heights of this rivalry. Azumi's team would lose this match, but not without insulting her opponents and calling them old on her way out. Classic Azumi. During this time, we would see Azumi lose a lot, and mostly to Azumi's army commander, Kaori Yoneyama, until 2017. On February 11, 2017, Azumi would be accepted into Queen's Quest and would change her name from Azumi to Azumi. On April 15th, Stardom would hold a one-day tournament for the Artists of Stardom Championships, and Queen's Quest, represented by Azumi, Hazuki, and Io Shirai. Oh, wow, Hazuki. Isn't she just the coolest, most awesome, and beautiful person ever? Psych! Gotcha, bitch! You thought I was gonna be horny like that on main? Hell no! You got me fucked up! Queen's Quest would win the tournament, becoming the Artists of Stardom Champions. Not only would this be Azumi's first championship in Stardom, but with Io Shirai also having the World of Stardom Championship, this would make Queen's Quest the top stable in Stardom. But the title reign would be cut short because they would lose the championships to Chibis on May 6th. After losing the Artists of Stardom Championships, Azumi would, for the most part, be put up against people around her age, like Ruka and Hanan. For these people, Azumi has either already beaten or just aren't on her level. I mean, she only just recently held the Artists of Stardom Championships. I think it's a little below her to have to go up against a bunch of rookies, even though she is also a rookie. And to further prove my point, Azumi would win back the Artists of Stardom Championships on June 4th. After that, Stardom would build up to that year's 5-star Grand Prix. But Azumi wouldn't be in it, but she would be in that year's Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, where Azumi would enter not tagging with another Queen's Quest member, but fellow miniature human being, Girl Scout, and rival, Starlight Kid. They would not win the tag league, but, at least in my opinion, they showed that they had really good chemistry as a team, and who knows? Maybe that same chemistry would produce a good singles match between them. In March, Stardom would hold a tournament for the Future of Stardom Championship. This tournament's purpose was not only to unveil a new title for rookies, but also to put a spotlight on some younger talent. And Azumi would be a part of this tournament. Unfortunately, Azumi would lose in the semifinals to Shiki Shibusawa, who would then lose to Starlight Kid in the finals. With Starlight Kid becoming the first Future of Stardom champion, it only makes sense that Starlight Kid would want her first defense to be against Azumi, her rival. And if there's anyone you want representing the future of your company, it's these two. Azumi would lose this time to Starlight Kid, but I'm sure she'll have a lot of time to get even. On April 15th, 2018, Stardom would have their annual draft. During the draft, Queen's Quest would gain Konami, Chardonnay, and B. Priestley, but would lose Hazuki. Hazuki would go on to win the High Speed Championship. Azumi would challenge Hazuki for the championship. Finally, for the first time in singles competition, Azumi versus Hazuki Former stablemates, now enemies. This should be a fucking banger. Queen's Quest would face off against Oedo Tai. Queen's Quest would win as Azumi would pin Hazuki. After the match, Azumi says the championship match will have the same result. Hazuki on her back for 3 seconds. Hazuki believes she will win this match, and she would be right. So this match is more so to see how much Azumi has grown since Hazuki left Queen's Quest, by seeing if Azumi can last longer than 10 minutes. And for Azumi, this match is a chance to not only win her first singles championship, beating her former friend in the process to show just how much she's grown. See, their goals are aligned. 8 minutes and 26 seconds. That's how long Azumi would last in this match. In an amazing back and forth, these two showed just another reason why the high-speed championship matches are some of the best matches in Stardom. But after a brainbuster, Azumi would not only fail to capture the high-speed championship, but would also fail in showing Hazuki that she's grown, proving that she's not ready. But this would not stop Azumi from trying. There's one thing you can say about Azumi, is that she sure in the hell is persistent. Azumi would face Hazuki for the high-speed championship once again, this time in a 3-way battle. So not only fighting Hazuki, but also fellow Queen's Quest member and foot fetish enabler, Konami. Even with the odds stacked against her, Hazuki wins the match, successfully retaining the high-speed championship. In April, Stardom's Cinderella tournament would take place. Azumi, for the first time, would participate in the tournament. She would go on to the second round where she would lose to Konami, who should have won that tournament. Bullshit! During the match, Azumi would suffer a knee injury that would take her out for 2 months. Azumi would return on June 9th and would lose once again to Konami in a trios match. Finally, Azumi would once again challenge for the high-speed championship in yet another 3-way battle. If Azumi wants the high-speed championship, she has to beat 2 faces from her past. Former Azumi Army's commander, Kaori Yonayama, now known as Death Yama-san, and the current high-speed champion, Hazuki. Azumi winning this match would have her finally capturing the high-speed championship, and proving not only to Hazuki, but the world, that she has grown from the future of Stardom to the present of Stardom, and becoming the star we know her as now. But that's not what happens, as Azumi would be pinned by Death Yama-san, ruining Azumi's big moment, and in the end, Death Yama-san's title reign would end up being fucking pointless! But we'll get to that later. Eventually, there would be a positive that year. Finally, after 6 years, Azumi would compete in that year's 5-star Grand Prix. Spoiler! She doesn't win the tournament, but would end with a total of 8 points. Not enough to go to the finals. But what's more important is what would happen during the tournament. She would have to face off against Hazuki, the now former high-speed champion. The same person that no matter how hard she tried, she could never beat in singles competition. So just because Hazuki is no longer champion, doesn't mean she's going to go any easier on her. In an amazing match, I feel like saying that is a little bit redundant at this point, Azumi would finally beat Hazuki. While not for a championship, this victory, as well as the whole 5-star Grand Prix, proves that Azumi has finally grown to a point she can no longer be considered a rookie. You know, other than the fact that she's been at this point wrestling for 6 years, and could beat just about anyone on the Stardom roster. And who knows, maybe if they fought for the high-speed championship again, we'd see Azumi with her hand raised. Come October, Stardom would host their annual Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. Once again, Azumi would participate, this time tagging with fellow senior Queen's Quest member Momo Watanabe. While not winning the tag league, they would make up for that when Utami Hayashishita would return from her injury, and together the 3 of them would win the Artists of Stardom Championships. Unfortunately, on November 24th, Hazuki would announce her retirement, and that her last match would be on December 24th. But on December 15th, Hazuki would have to fight each Oedo Tai member back to back. During the match, Stardom would essentially say, "fuck you," and have the rookies challenge as well. Eventually, her last opponent would end up being Azumi. Azumi would beat Hazuki one last time. Afterwards, they would hold each other in a tearful embrace. As Hazuki says, "Azumi, you beat me here, but you were supposed to beat me for the high-speed championship, but it's too late now," which I agree with. So, Hazuki's gone from Stardom. That's pretty sad. But it can only go up from here. I think so anyway. Let me look at my notes here. Oh no. Oh no. In 2020, we would start the year off with Riho leaving for the United States of America. And we wouldn't see her until September. I don't think Stardom knew the entire world would go into a crisis state. So I'm sure that wasn't the plan. Azumi, as well as the entire high-speed division, would be upset that their championship was essentially being held hostage. So Azumi came up with a plan to get their championship back by holding a tournament called the High Speed Grand Prix. The winner challenges for the High Speed Championship when the champion would eventually return. Unfortunately, this tournament would never see a winner, as the virus known as COVID-19 would take all the plans everyone in the world had, put them in a bucket, then light the bucket on fire. So basically, no more wrestling shows. But before all shows would stop, Azumi would make sure she ends on a high by losing in the first round of the Cinderella tournament once again to Konami. When Stardom shows would return, they'd come back with a bang, as on July 26th, the high-speed champion Riho would have to defend her championship in a three-way against Starlight Kid and Azumi. Once again, Azumi has a chance to finally win the elusive high-speed championship. In her way is the current high-speed champion, Riho, who probably isn't too keen on losing her championship. Then you have Starlight Kid, Azumi's rival, who also failed multiple times on her attempts towards winning the high-speed championship. So she is also determined to win this match. Of course, the last time Azumi fought for the championship, it was also in a three-way, and she lost. Now we will have to see if she has learned from her mistakes in that match and turned it into a win. After pinning Starlight Kid, Azumi has finally won the High Speed Championship, not only bringing the championship back home, but ushering in a new era for the High Speed Championship. Azumi's high-speed title reign would prove to be the best in Stardom history, in my opinion, as she would seek to break records and raise the value and prestige to the championship. And to achieve this, she would look for worthy challengers, whether they be in Stardom or elsewhere. After a tag match against the invading members of the Marvelous promotion, Azumi would be impressed by Mei Hoshizuki and would demand she challenge her for her high-speed championship. Mei would accept, but would also like to form a team with Azumi, but Azumi would decline the offer. But this match wouldn't happen for a while, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Azumi would successfully defend the High Speed Championship against longtime rival Starlight Kid, adding another rung on the amazing rivalry between the two. Azumi would then enter that year's Goddesses of Stardom Tag League with her partner from last year, Momo Watanabe, this time with a really cool name, Momoa's. Wonder how they came up with that one. Anyway, Azumi and Momo would win the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League and would issue a challenge to the current Goddesses of Stardom champions, Utami Hayashishita and Sai Kamitani. That's right, Queen's Quest versus Queen's Quest for the Goddesses of Stardom Championship. The elder members of Queen's Quest going up against the newer members of Queen's Quest. Now unfortunately, Azumi and Momo would not win the championships. I mean, you would have known that if you watched my Utami video. But this would not stop Azumi, as she would successfully defend the High Speed Championship against the now Gokigen Death. On the 20th of December, Azumi would finally defend the championship against Mei Hoshizuki. In an amazing display of speed and agility, the two would have an amazing match. Ultimately, Azumi would win the match, proving that not only can she beat anyone in Stardom, but anyone outside of Stardom as well, proving once again why she is the best high-speed champion in history. On January 17th, Azumi would successfully defend the high-speed championship against Kaori Yoneyama. After the match, Azumi makes a request for new challengers. Hearing this, Natsupoi comes out to do just that. Azumi is not impressed with what she's seen from Natsu, and doesn't know if she qualifies. But, as we'll find out, I'm sure she will. The match would happen on March 3rd. The match would end with Natsupoi as the new high-speed champion. But our story with the High Speed Championship doesn't end there. On December 18th, if you've watched my Utami video, you know what's coming up. Queen's Quest would fight Oedo Tai in a Captain's Fall match. The match would end with Momo Watanabe turning on Queen's Quest and joining Oedo Tai, which would lead to a match between Azumi and the Black Peach Momo Watanabe on January 8th. Former Artists Champions, former Goddesses of Stardom Tag League winners, and most importantly, former friends. But Azumi's done crying. She's here to beat the shit out of Momo and make her regret betraying Queen's Quest. But this Momo Watanabe isn't the same Momo Watanabe from Queen's Quest. She's darker, more violent, and doesn't care about winning, just breaking bones. And Momo would do just that, loading her kick pad with a wrench. She then punches Azumi in the face, breaking her nose. Azumi would be missing from action for 20 days. She would return on the 29th, tagging with Utami Hayashishita against Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid. And this would end the same way the last time Azumi came back from injury. She'd return with a big fat L. Not exactly the best way to return, but despite this, she would still challenge Starlight Kid for the High Speed Championship on February 23rd. Once again, Starlight Kid versus Azumi for the High Speed Championship. This should be yet another incredible match. This match was just that. Incredible. Azumi and Starlight Kid would once again prove why this is the best rivalry in Stardom history. The match would end once again with Azumi's hands touching gold. With the High Speed Championship back in Azumi's hands, she picks up where she left off by looking for worthy challengers and finding new ways to challenge herself. After successfully defending the High Speed Championship in a three-way against Koguma and Natsupoi, Gato Moves Mei Suruga would challenge Azumi for the High Speed Championship after winning the Cinderella Rumble earlier that night. Before we get into that dream match, the Cinderella tournament would start around this time, and for Azumi, this year's Cinderella tournament would be quite interesting, as in the first round, she would be pitted against Momo Watanabe, and Azumi would beat Momo, getting her revenge for betraying Queen's Quest and, of course, breaking her face. In the second round, Azumi would come face to face with a ghost, that being Hazuki. Hazuki returned in the later half of 2021 and even won that year's Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, but since returning, she has not fought Azumi in singles competition yet. So this is the first time they're facing one-on-one since Hazuki's return. So, does it live up to the hype? Can Hazuki still keep up with Azumi? That's a rhetorical question. Of course she can. She even gets the win over Azumi, eliminating her from the tournament, proving that Azumi has one last person to beat before calling herself the best. Now, back to the match with Mei Suruga. The thing about Mei Suruga is, she's, how do I put this? A bit strange. And Azumi will need to learn how to deal with the anomaly that is Mei Suruga, as Azumi has never faced someone quite like Mei Suruga. Also, it's kinda odd that both wrestlers that Azumi's fought that have never wrestled in Stardom are both named Mei. Just thought that was a bit interesting. The match was amazing. I mean, no shit. If you followed both of these wrestlers' works, then you knew this was going to be an amazing match. And by any chance you haven't seen their work, this match is a perfect example for why you should. So go. Do it now. Check out, I'm giving you time right now. Go, check out Goto Move. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Choco Pro is free on YouTube. Just go on YouTube. You can watch Choco Pro. It's free. Just check out Goto Move. Just do it. It's amazing. Do it right now. Have you done it yet? I'm waiting. You did it? Okay. I'll know if you're lying. Okay, let's get back to where we were. Azumi would win the match, but I hope one day we'll see them face off again. Azumi would then face her most physically demanding challenge in the Toxic Spider Tekla. Hard-hitting, fast, and of course cocky. Tekla comes in this match already with a win over the champ. She knows she has the champ's number. This match is a real palate cleanser compared to almost every high-speed championship match. Not a lot of hurricanranas or topes, just kicking and elbowing the shit out of each other. But Tekla would underestimate Azumi's ability to learn on the fly, and for this she would take an L. Next, Azumi would be challenged by Momo Kogo. Azumi almost blows her challenge off till she realizes who Momo is being trained by. So Azumi agrees as long as Momo shows her at least some of Hazuki in her. Because we all know deep down Azumi really just wants to fight Hazuki. While Momo may have put up a good fight, it just wasn't enough to beat the champ. Post-match, Azumi would be double foot stomped by Rina out of nowhere. Rina says she's sick of seeing all these old people challenging for the High Speed Championship, and that someone young should have the championship instead. And her being only 15, that makes her the best candidate, and that her youth will be the reason she'll win. I feel like I'm getting flashbacks. And Rina has a point, to some extent. She should have been given a title shot, since she already has a win over the champion when she beat her in the first round of the Cinderella tournament back in 2021. And so she's sick of seeing all these people demanding title shots while she gets overlooked. But not this time. With Rina sounding like pre-2020 Azumi, it seems like Azumi is officially starting to fill the role of... No, not her, okay? She's starting to fill the role of Hazuki. You see, so Azumi is now seen as a veteran, despite her young age. She's been around since 2013. That's 9 years. That's fucking insane. Azumi is a pillar of the high-speed division. Beating her is seen as a goal. Azumi is Rina's Hazuki. And much like Hazuki, Azumi's about to teach this little brat a lesson. Rina thought that she could use mind games to throw Azumi off her game, but you can't take tactics from Azumi and try to use them on her. It'll never work. And for that mistake, she loses. In the midst of the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix, Azumi would choose to defend the High Speed Championship in a 3-way battle. Her opponents, Fukigen Death and Hazuki. Seem familiar? That's right, it's a rematch from 4 years ago. The same match that Azumi should have won to show that she had grown and lost. But this time, she is the champion. She has brought the High Speed Championship to new heights. But the question still remains, can she do it? Sure, she's beaten them both before, but not in this environment. Not in a 3-way. So can she do it? Or will she lose once again, thrown back to the bottom to start over again? But for the answer to that, you'll have to wait till next time when we talk about... No. Don't worry, I'm not gonna blue balls you here. With an Azumi Sushi on Fukigen, Azumi finally does it. Beating her senpais here, she has finally proved she is better than her senpais. Becoming the best high-speed wrestler in Stardom. Proving that she is not the future of Stardom, she is the present. Post-match, Azumi finally addresses Hazuki for the first time since she's returned, officially welcoming her back. They both embrace for the first time since Hazuki's leave. Hazuki congratulates Azumi and tells Azumi to break the defense record, something she herself couldn't do. And it's only a matter of time before she does just that. And that's it. As of recording, Azumi is still champ, and she's looking for new ways to challenge herself. Thank you guys for watching. It took a while for me to do this. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Of course, if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't, don't, I guess. I don't care. Until then, bye.